What if the world woke up one day and the US dollar was no longer the global king? No more greenbacks ruling oil trade, no more dollar dominance headlines. Instead, a new currency born from the world's emerging powers. The BRICS nations. I'm talking about the rise of the BRICS currency, a bold idea from countries like Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And now possibly joined by Saudi Arabia, Iran, Egypt, and others. Together, they represent over 40% of the world's population and nearly a third of global GDP. That's huge, but can this alliance really create a new global currency strong enough to challenge, or even replace, the almighty US dollar? Let's break it down. What's driving this movement? How realistic it is? And what it could mean for all of us. To understand why this is such a big deal, we first need to ask, why does the dollar dominate the world in the first place? After World War II, the Bretton Woods Agreement made the US dollar the anchor of the global financial system. Countries pegged their currencies to the dollar, and the dollar was pegged to gold. Even after the US abandoned the gold standard in 1971, the dollar stayed on top, thanks to trust in the US economy, Wall Street's strength, and something called the petrodollar system. Since the 1970s, almost all global oil sales have been priced in US dollars. So if you're Japan or Germany buying oil, you need dollars. And that keeps global demand for the dollar sky high. This dominance gives Washington enormous leverage. When the US imposes financial sanctions or cuts a country off from SWIFT, the global payment network, it's basically like pulling the plug on their economy. And that's exactly what's motivating countries like Russia and China to look for alternatives. Now, let's talk about what's brewing inside BRICS. Over the past few years, these nations have openly discussed creating a shared currency, not just for symbolism, but as a strategic move against dollar dominance. For example, Russia and China are already settling a growing share of their trade in rubles and yuan instead of dollars. Brazil has signed deals to trade directly with China using yuan, and India has experimented with rupee trade settlements for oil imports. At BRICS summits, leaders have floated ideas like a joint payment system, digital settlement platform, or even a gold-backed BRICS currency, something tangible that could compete with the dollar's stability. But here's the challenge. Creating a shared currency isn't easy. Just ask the European Union. BRICS countries have different economies, political systems, and inflation rates. China's economy is massive, while South Africa's is much smaller. Russia faces sanctions. India has strict capital controls. To create a stable common currency, they'd need deep financial coordination, shared institutions, central banks working together, and clear rules. And right now, that's still a long way off. Still, the motivation is clear. BRICS nations are tired of a world where one country, the US, controls most global finance. They want a multipolar system, where economic power is shared more evenly. So, what happens if BRICS actually pulls this off? It could reshape global finance. Countries in Africa, Asia, and Latin America might start trading using the new BRICS system, reducing their need for dollars. That could weaken US influence, lower demand for treasuries, and make sanctions less effective. But, and this is key, experts are split. Some economists say this could mark the start of a new financial era, a multipolar world where no single currency dominates. Others argue it's highly unlikely anytime soon. The dollar still makes up nearly 60% of global reserves, while China's yuan is under 3%. Even the euro, despite being well integrated across 20 nations, has never truly dethroned the dollar. There's also the issue of trust. Would investors, traders, and governments really trust a BRICS currency managed by countries with very different political systems? Some analysts call it more of a political statement than an immediate plan, a signal that the global south wants more say in how the world's money works. Still, symbolic moves can snowball into real change. The BRICS Bank, New Development Bank, is already funding infrastructure projects in local currencies. And the trend away from the dollar, called de-dollarization, is undeniably growing. So, can a BRICS currency replace the dollar? Probably not anytime soon, but can it challenge the dollar's dominance and push the world toward a more balanced system? Absolutely. And that process is already underway. The BRICS alliance represents the voice of emerging economies that want more independence, not just politically, but financially, whether or not their currency succeeds. The message is clear. The world's financial order is evolving, and the era of unquestioned US dollar supremacy may slowly be coming to an end. What do you think? Can BRICS really dethrone the dollar? Or is this just a dream that sounds good on paper? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your take. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more deep dives into global economics made simple.